Hi there! Welcome back to the weird side of YouTube. I am author DC Knipe, and this is Theodore. You're watching Teddy Bear Talks, the show where Theodore and I discuss something that's popping up around the interwebs. This episode is going to be a bit different, however. For one, Theodore isn't going to talk. I just felt like it was a bit cringe, but for the last episode it fit because cringe was one of the themes. But for this one, I'd like to be taken a bit more seriously. And the second difference, as you can see, I'm not sitting on my bed. That camera angle was a bit much for me, even in editing, so I thought I could only imagine what you guys thought of it. I read an article recently on newnownnext.com. It was called Dear Gay Men, Stop It With Your Monogamy Shaming. And it just really lit a fire in me. And the reason why might surprise you. There will be a link to this article in the description box below, should you choose to read it, but I must tell you that you do not need to read it to understand what I'm saying. I'm not replying to or reacting to this article in any way, shape, or form. I'm just giving my opinion on the subject, shaped through my own experiences. With that being said, let's get started. So what is monogamy anyway? Well, it's different for a lot of people. My version of monogamy is being emotionally and sexually satisfied by one person. Others may be of the mindset that monogamy is all about getting married and having children and a white picket fence. While others may believe that monogamy is not about having sex at all and bitterly sulking while your partner has sex with other people and is blissfully unaware of the fact that you know full well what they're doing, when they're doing it, how they're doing it, and who they're doing it with. Now let's get into polyamory. Again, it is a different situation for everyone. My version of polyamory was actually quite monogamous. What? I was polyamorous? Well, that depends on who you ask, I suppose. I don't think I was. I think I've always been monogamous. You see, my version of polyamory was something called a triad. Think of a couple, then add another. All three of us were equal, all three of us loved one another, and all three of us were committed to each other. Yes, we were all three monogamous with each other. An open relationship is not monogamous, that much is true. But it isn't necessarily polyamorous either. Poly means multiple and amorous means love, so in essence polyamory means to be romantically in love with more than one person. So in that sense I was polyamorous, but in the common definition of the LGBTQIA community I was not, and I do not like to think of myself as that. Why is that? First, I need to frame my experience for you all. My first boyfriend pressured me into sex, and when I didn't or couldn't deliver, he cheated on me and bragged about it to my face. To a young man already dealing with parental abuse who thought his first relationship would be something akin to a Disney romance, this was heartbreaking. But this happened over and over again with this partner and multiple others. It broke me down violently, repeatedly, until I finally gave in. I learned the hard way that sex is a currency to the LGBTQIA community, at least the parts that are mostly populated by gay men. And until this day, my partner and I still have trouble finding gay male friends that don't expect us to automatically be sexual with them in exchange for their friendship. But that isn't friendship to me. My longest relationship was 7 years. That may seem like something to be proud of, and the very thought of it may conjure up images of roses, but that is far from the truth. This relationship was tumultuous, to say the least. He was constantly cheating on me, and it was like pulling teeth to get him to explain to me why, or to even have an open conversation about his wants and needs. He was slowly turning from me, so I confided in one of my good girlfriends. She told me that she and her husband were polyamorous, and because she was bisexual, they both had a mutual girlfriend. So my then boyfriend at the time and I went to visit them to feel out their situation, to see if it was right for us. He fell in love with the idea. I, however, took a bit more convincing. All three of them assured me that their partnership was equal, that they all three loved each other, that none of them felt out of place or uncomfortable. They compared their relationship to a family. And after surviving trauma at the hands of my parents, the thought of having a new family was just too sweet for me to pass up. So my then boyfriend and I began to look for a third lover. Some of them were sweet, others were too pushy, some of them threatened to cut themselves if we broke up with them. Almost all of them preferred one to the other, however. And each of them tried to convince us to break up so that they could have their favorite to themselves. It was a chore, to say the least, to put up with all of this. And it was quite literally anxiety-inducing, until we met a high priest from Salem, Massachusetts. He was charming and beautiful and seemingly wise beyond his years. He told us that we were both special and that his goddess had been telling him about us for quite a while. He told us that he could sense the magic within us, that it felt warm and familiar to him, as if we'd all three been polyamorous lovers back in the days of ancient Greece, fawning all over each other in the forest as we worshipped Hecate. And when we drove up there to meet him, it just clicked. Like 3 puzzle pieces. It was like a fairy tale. Our relationship wasn't just sex, amazing as it was. It was deep conversations at 3 in the morning. It was adventuring through the forests. It was making art together. It was learning the craft from an expert. It was dreamy. It was magical. It was fleeting. I made so many new polyamorous friends. Men that had multiple husbands, women that had multiple wives, other triads. It was great to talk to them about things I felt like I couldn't open up about. But there was one thing I noticed during all of these conversations. These polyamorous people were never really around their lovers in public. They never held hands. They never kissed or embraced. But they were always on the prowl, hunting for that new thrill, for that new flame. And it wasn't long before my triad started acting like theirs. It felt like the love dried up. It felt as though not just my then boyfriend was bored of me, but this new dashing high priest was as well. And over time, that boredom turned into bitterness, into resentment, but for what I couldn't tell you. I was just there existing, and this high priest would be livid with me. But it didn't take much for me to start to take up for myself. In doing so, I felt as though I just made it worse. The high priest began to verbally berate me on a daily basis, while our third, the lover of my 7-year-long relationship, silently nodded and agreed with him. If you know me, you know exactly where the story ends up. The high priest abused me mentally, emotionally, and financially, but as I suffered, every new friend I made in Salem turned a blind eye, even when I explicitly begged them for help. They would tell me that they didn't believe it, that their dear friend would never do such a thing. A high priest has learned to face and accept his darkness for what it is, and he would never, could never, unleash it on someone else, especially not someone he claimed to love. Long story short, one day I had enough, and I got a plane ticket back home. I started talking about how I didn't feel as though I was ever polyamorous, and all of my poly friends started dropping like flies, but before they left, they would all tell me the same things. That I was confused and hurt. That it was my fault for bringing jealousy into the relationship. That I should never have thought one man would be committed to me, let alone 2. They even told me that it was because I hadn't done my shadow work, a practice in modern witchcraft that involves delving into your past and accepting your dark side for what it is. But I don't think expecting someone to not call you stupid or take your entire paycheck or tell you that your patron goddess hates you is dark. I think it's pretty fucking basic. I think expecting someone to respect you is baseline human. But what surprised me were the reactions from strangers on the internet. This was months and months later when I was trying to find someone new. When I told people I was once in a triad, they reacted in disgust. I was called a whore, a slut, a stereotype, and when I would explain that I'd since realized that I'm monogamous, I'd be told that I'm a control freak, that my expectations were too heteronormative in nature, that it was abuse to expect someone to only want to be with me. I just couldn't win. Sex is powerful. It's magic. Whether it's just one person or 20, there's something incredibly beautiful about giving into those raw, wild, feral desires that course through our veins. Carnal, animalistic, beastly, but not emotionless, far from emotionless. Especially with gay men, shameless sex has been one of the biggest ways we say fuck you to a society that would rather see us all as corpses in a ditch. But everyone has their own terms of controlling their own power, and shaming anyone for those terms is quite frankly disgusting to me. This is why I found this article so refreshing. I think it's clear that gay men shame open relationships and polyamory. That isn't up for debate. But in reaction to this article, in the comments in the LGBTQIA+ Facebook group I first founded in, were countless young gay men raging about how monogamy shaming isn't real, just before both shaming monogamy as a practice and shaming gay people that take part in it, calling it abusive, controlling, saying it's archaic and outdated, unhealthy, telling people that they're not gay enough, all while complaining about how people have shamed them for being open or polyamorous in the next breath. I just want to say that I don't see a difference. You can't shame someone and then whine about being shamed. I mean, well, you can, and apparently a lot of other people will agree with you, but you still look like you lack empathy. I don't care that someone didn't want to date you because you wanted to have multiple partners. As soon as you start calling people names and throwing around dumb as hell terms like heteronormative, your argument is done. Kaput. Dead, dead, dead. and you're on the same level as the assholes that hurt you. Monogamy takes a lot of work. There are a lot of puzzle pieces to it, like being honest about your needs and respecting those of your partner. Cheating is a betrayal that sometimes ends the relationship, as trust is needed as an emotional foundation. And you know what? It's exactly the same with polyamory. Just add more partners. Yes, it is possible to cheat in a polyamorous relationship. Everyone has different rules, different needs, different wants, desires, and fears. And everyone deserves respect. I've come to learn that being polyamorous, much like being gay, is something you're born with. You cannot teach yourself to be polyamorous or monogamous. You're either one or the other, or neither. And much like a closeted man forming a romantic relationship with a woman, anyone that tries to change themselves in this way is just going to end up unhappy and unsatisfied. But to say that a polyamorous person is an insatiable whore, or that a monogamous person is too heteronormative and not gay enough, well, it's just childish, isn't it? What in the fuck is heteronormative anyway? I've been told that I can't work a gay relationship like a straight one ever since my first boyfriend started cheating on me and then showed me the pictures of it to brag. I'd like to think that not abusing your partners isn't only for heterosexuals, and it makes me wonder what these people think of individuals that identify as asexual, a label I myself have tossed around my brain in the past. But then again, with all the racism, body shaming, transphobia, and misogyny I've seen from gay men, I can't say I'm surprised. I hope you guys liked this video. Hopefully it didn't piss you off too much. But if you do disagree, feel free to leave a comment down below. If you're respectful, I will return in kind. You're more than welcome to disagree. Let's have a discussion. But if you did like it, please hit that like button and subscribe. Please, but honestly, I appreciate just you watching it. I really do appreciate you guys listening to me, as I haven't had that in my life much at all, and it's a really good feeling to have someone that actually listens to me and takes me, seriously. I am trying to make Teddy Bear Tuesday, Teddy Bear Talks Day with me and Theodore. It does take a while to get these kinds of videos out because I do script them, and the makeup looks are a lot more detailed than my elf looks. I don't know why, it just kind of happens that way. I think it's like more war paint because I'm talking about serious stuff and I want to be like, not intimidating, but like strong seeming, I guess. So like they're darker, heavier makeup. I don't know what you'd call that. But it does take longer because of those reasons. So maybe I might skip a couple weeks or maybe just one, but Teddy Bear Tuesday will be a part of the schedule. The rest of the schedule as of now is Sims Saturday and Storytime Sunday. I don't know when the other videos I have are going to be on. I don't know when I'll put my writing stuff, but at least I'm trying to work out a schedule with these 3 series that I have so far. But I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope you guys are staying safe, and I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Stop disrespecting people. Stop being mean. Seriously, we're a community. Love each other. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.